All right, we still talking about COVID, and we're trying to figure out. We know that COVID's real. We know that individuals receive vaccinations. We're talking about it from a just and impacted individuals who's been incarcerated. We come out of COVID totally different than anybody else because we really just getting our facts from the news, people talking to us. We really don't know what's going on. So all I'm trying to do is just figure out how what was your impressions of it as you came out from the joint.
Oxford, Wisconsin.
Now is that medium? That's a medium joint.
It's a medium joint, and like COVID first hit. When it first hit, nobody at the prison had nobody. They locked everything down, locked us all down. Nobody still had it. However, only thing you had moving in and out of the prison was the COs getting on and off their shifts and stuff like that. So, with that being said, that's how COVID got on into the compound, into the prison. You understand what I'm saying? Like somebody came into the prison with it. We didn't have no visits, no nothing. Like we didn't have no visits, no nothing. Period.
No outside contact with the world.
No outside contact with the world. Only outside contact we had with the world was the officers coming in and out of the prison.
So like you was a CO during COVID.
Oh yeah.
How did it like to take me to the first day that y'all was getting briefed on the procedures that y'all should follow for COVID? How did that look? What changed?
Well, normally we in the dorm that I ran a general pop. So that was 120 inmates, 60 cells, double cells. So it went from that immediately to individual cells. So that cuts it down to 60. Okay. We were told that somebody had caught COVID. COVID is here. So from this day forward, until we hear anything differently from the superintendent, that we were going to be coming in, taking our temperature. If we had a temperature, then we had to talk with the lieutenant on, that was on shift, and they would send us home, and we would have to be home until further notice. Of course, go and see a doctor and all that stuff. But if you go in and you take your temperature and your temperature's good, you good for work.
Okay.
So that's basically what was happening.
Then did they brief you on dealing with the people that were incarcerated, or that were the people that was in the workhouse? Like how did that change? Because I know a lot of people in the workhouse was going out to work and coming back in.
Yeah.
Did y'all change that protocol?
Yeah, we had to wear a mask at all times. Each dorm had their own specialized sanitizer, which was like the really strong sanitizer that was like tequila. It smells like tequila almost. And when you report to your station, it was supposed to be already sanitized by the previous shift, which, just like any job, you got your people that are on point with work. You got someone that are lazy. As for me, I would always clean my stuff down. I would always wipe my station down anyway, keyboards and all that. And we had to keep our mask on at all times. Now, while we were running the shift, we were running a shift with the inmates. The inmates actually was in they were locked down, and they were on a lockdown schedule. Whereas with a quarter, they did it in quarters. Like a quarter of them would come out at a time and would be out, and they would be out, talk on the phones and everything, but they had to have a mask on. And if that mask came down, you give them a warning. And if that mask keeps coming down, because if I have to wear it as an officer, you got to wear it. So if their mask came down, I'll give them a warning. Hey man, listen, hey, put your mask up, man. You got to keep it up. I know it's hard. I don't like wearing it myself, but hey, these are the rules and regulations that that they want us to abide by, and we have to do it because at the same time, while we're running a shift, we're being watched
Yeah.
by the lieutenant.
Yeah.
And and I don't know how cameras are in other facilities, but the facilities that we had, those cameras were so good they could zoom into the sweat on your face.
Okay.
You know, we had those kind of cameras. So as we're running a shift, we're being watched. And if we don't, and if our mask is coming down, we're getting those telephone calls. And if you can't keep your mask up, then they're gonna make you write reports on that. Pretty
Okay.
much like disciplinary reports on yourself, pretty much.
Okay.
As a you can't keep your mask up as as an officer. So, but yeah, if they couldn't keep their mask up, as for me, hey, first time, man, I get it. You keep doing it, hey man, I'm not gonna tell you a third time. Third time, switch in, you're not coming out. You just in. And then you have to,
Okay.
to go through the formalities of writing a report, letting the lieutenant know, hey, look, this guy couldn't keep his mask up. So I kept giving them, giving them warnings, trying to work with him, but he couldn't do it. So but then when they would be out, I want to say they would be out like 45 minutes at a time. Then we
Okay.
would switch to meetings, and another quarter of the guys would come out. And when they would come out, in between that, it would be a 5 to 10 minute break. If I'm not, I want to say 10 minutes. And we would have the swampers with what they call housemen. And I think
Yeah.
some prison housemen, which
Yeah.
are the workers that clean and just kind of tidy up. We would have them to wipe everything down. I want you to wipe up. We want you to go upstairs, the rails, going up and down the stairs. We want you to wipe the phones down. We want you wiping the seats down. We want you wiping the tables down, the vending machines, anything that somebody's going to be touching. We need you to wipe them down. So we give them that little time to do that. They switch in, then we let the next group out. And
Okay.
that was basically pretty much the process of it being actually in the dorms.
In
You
a
know,
dorm.
but
Did
what
you?
was happening, what started happening though, man, was after a while, because you got to think, we still, we still got to live in this world. So this is just work. So when you're out in public, I mean, you out in public, you still going to the gas station, you still going to the grocery store. The movies at the time were still open, but you had to wear a mask wherever you would go. So we were still around people with COVID, and everyone knows that these masks really still was not working.
Mm-hmm.
So what happening was when these inmates would come in, they would come in as what we call new men. You know, New men were the new guys that was being processed in. They go through the processing area, and they would go to what we call the custody area. The custody area is we pretty much had a dorm, B dorm, and a C dorm, and they would go into the C dorm. When they would go in the C dorm, they would start them off on the lower tier, and as they fill up, they would go to the upper tier. And down there, when they was down there, they had to be quarantined for 14 days.
Okay.
Once they go through their 14 days, they go see I guess the nurse, the doctor, what have you, run another test. Okay, you're good. Now you're down in the general pop, which is where I was running. So now we processing them in. So after a while, now we got all these guys that have been processed in. They've been quarantined, but now we got 2-3 guys. They have COVID. So now everyone is, the inmates are talking like, "Hey man, listen man, you guys are the one bringing this stuff in." And the thing is, they had a point. So once it started getting to the lieutenants, they was kiting the lieutenants and the captains, and they had to take a step back and say, "Okay, well, you know what? Yeah, you're right. These guys got a point." So then we had the county email where it said that we had to, from that point, we had to start making sure that you need to get your vaccine. And if you couldn't get your vaccine, like you could not work in that building if you didn't have a vaccine. If you didn't want to take the vaccine, then you would have to take a COVID test every week. At one point, I think it was one day I came in and they had people there that was giving free COVID tests and the nose swabs, and they did that for one day. So that particular day, we didn't have to worry about trying to find somewhere to go. So we did that for one day, but still, you got to have it done every week, and you have to have the results every week. And they had a little portal that you went through on your county email where You pull it up, you got to take a picture of it, and they have to actually see the results from itself. Then we had a day where they had like a one-time thing. You come in and you can get your vaccine, but a lot of people weren't trying to get that vaccine. We didn't know anything about it. And as for me, who has a brother that's a nurse practitioner, it made sense when he said, "Hey, listen, uh, he's in the circle where he's talking to doctors and who've been doing it for many years, and he said, "Hey, bro, listen, man, I would advise you not to take that thing just yet because you know it's been proven that any new medication that comes out, anything that's new that come out, it has to be tested at least for 3 years before it's actually put out. COVID just hit, and now these guys are you can excuse my French, they can be injecting you with urine.
Yeah.
How would you know? And how do the
Right.
nurses? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the reason why I took a step back and I was like, man, I'm just gonna just every week I'm just gonna go, get a squad because at the time you probably know you could go on the computer and you can pull up places that's in your area where you can take the test. You go in the line, I'm only in the line maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most, but it was worth it. You
Yeah.
go in, spit test, spit in the cup, because a lot of people didn't want to take it up the nose.
Yeah.
So, but you could take it like that. You could spit, and you get your results the next morning. Then you take the snap. You go to your email, snap the picture of it, send it to your county email, put it on your portal. Bam, it's in there. So you were good. Now, if you didn't do that, now you got problems. Now you're being called into the captain's office, and and they're asking you why why you're not following procedure. And we had people that just that we had some people that refused to take it, and we had some people that refused to take it so long because they were saying that it is illegal for them to do this to us.
Right.
And some of them stood on that, and some of them lost their jobs. And I mean, people that had been in the county for 18 years, 19 years, some of them lost their jobs. you know. But as for me, I didn't take it, and then I have my son. He would come and visit for the summer,
Yep.
and I would fly 2 minutes to Florida, from Minnesota to Florida, to pick him up and come back because his mom was kind of worried. She didn't really want to be on the plane by himself. Thought he was too young, even though he was not afraid of flying. But so I did the noble thing, and I would fly down, pick my son up, I would bring him back, and he would be here for the summer. When I take him back, I got to fly back and take him back. Stayed at my classmate's house for a day because my brother, my older brother, he had COVID, so I couldn't go to his home. So I stayed at my classmate's house, and that was just when the Delta variant had just came out.
Okay.
So when I got back on the plane and flew back, I infected about 7 to 8 officers because I came back and I worked like 2 days, you know, and I'm working, and the inmates that were out, they coming up because when you're working there, you kind of build a rapport with them as an officer. And when I'm like, "Lat, man, like you good?" Because you just ain't looking right. And I wasn't feeling, all that good. And as I got into the parking lot, typically with your officer, your comrades, after work, you kind of sit out maybe 10, 15 minutes, let the car warm up because Minnesota's very cold.
Yeah.
Give your car a chance, or some of the guys smoke a cigarette. They talk about the day, kind of talk about, man, hey, I heard you. Sound like you was about to have a cold down there, man. You just kind of talk amongst each other, officers. But as I'm walking to my car alongside one of my officers, probably about 3 feet between us, before I knew it, we were shoulder to shoulder. And that's when I knew I
Oh,
wasn't. And the thing is, okay, man, we always give each other a fist pump. Be safe on the road. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you text me. Make sure we all text each other. Make sure we all made it home safe.
right.
And I said, I'm not gonna do that because I'm really not feeling right. And I got home. That I want to say that was August the 5th of 2021. And man, it was horrible. Called my brother, and he said, "Listen, man, people are dying like quick." So bro, if you said you got a oxygen sensor, I said, "Yeah, I have one." He said, take your check the oxygen sensor and check your O2 sats. If your O2 sats go below 91, call rescue. Don't try to get in the car. No, you call rescue ASAP. Okay, copy that. Okay, bro. I'm in there drinking orange juice, everything. I had to sleep in a different bed from my, my ex-fiance. She was my fiance at the time. And I'm in the bed. I wake up. My O2 sats are at 84.
Oh my God.
We called the cop. We called the rescue. They came. Called my brother Keith. He came to the house and he pulled up. He pulled up just as they was putting me in the ambulance. And the Delta variant. I don't know if you guys know that was a stronger one.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, at the time at the hospitals, you couldn't go in the hospital. You would have to stay out.
Yep.
And he followed behind the ambulance and he said, "Hey man," he said, "I looked at you, man, and if they would have just put a sheet on you, I would have thought you were dead because you was not moving at all." I got into the ER, put an IV in me. It was really bad. I lost. I was incontinent, so I was messing all over myself. You know what I'm saying? They finally got me up to the floor. I'm still considered young, so I got young ladies coming to me. It was so bad that I was in the hospital for like 13 days. They didn't want me to take a shower. I didn't take a shower for 10 days because they was afraid that if I went into the shower, that the steam would kill me.
Oh.
Okay. I had to have a high flow nasal cannula, which when you're breathing in, instead of breathing in air, you're breathing in air, but you're breathing in hot air. And
Okay.
you had to lay on your stomach.
Okay.
They sent the rescue team, the respiratory team in on me twice because I couldn't breathe, and it got to the point where I had to have a bedside commode because if I go up to the bedside commode and it's like right by the bed, it's like I run a mile. Okay, so I couldn't walk to the bathroom to pee. The bathroom was literally like 4 steps away from the bed. I would have to pee in a urinal, and the little young ladies would have to come and while the camera's on you too at the same time. So, you lose all your dignity and all that stuff really quick, especially when you're a young man and you got these little young girls who could be your daughter coming in taking in your urine. It was just different, man. And it got so bad to the point to where they almost intubated me, and I knew that at the time, people that was being intubated, they was dying.
Yeah.
So eventually, through the grace of God, man, I made it through and made it back. And it still was the same protocol from that point on, but still taking those tests, man, taking those tests. I did not want to take a vaccine, but a little bit of time it went by. And I always refer to my brother since he works in that field. And he was talking to all of his colleagues that he worked with, and they have been doing more studies at the time. And that's when I finally decided to take it because I almost died. When I got out, I left the hospital home with oxygen.
Oh.
So yeah, so it was pretty bad, man.
You didn't have asthma or anything like that? You was as
never had any of that, man. Never had any. I was an athlete coming up, man. Never had anything like that going on. So it was an eye opener, man. Something I'd never been through. It was very scary.
did you when you was going through those experiences, did you when you came out of the hospital, I just noticed like I had different tastes. Like during the time I had a certain type of taste. I eat foods I didn't eat. It was just weird like that. Did you
Right.
change afterwards? Like, is there certain foods you won't eat?
I never had any of those issues at all. It's just for me, it's amazing how when you're in the bed for 11 to 13 days, and even though you're just getting up, going to to a little chair on the side where you can kind of sit up a little bit. Because just for me working in the medical field in the past, we used to have a saying when I was a rehab technician. We say, "Ma'am, do you want to go home?" Okay, ma'am. Yeah, so of course they're gonna say, yeah. I would say, we got a little poem for you. You want to go home, you got to get up out that bed and sit up, because sitting up, your lungs drain, you can breathe
Yeah.
better. The longer you lay, the longer you stay, the
Yeah.
more you stay, quicker you split, the quicker
Yeah.
you get out of it.
Yeah.
So that always kind of stayed with me. So I knew I had to sit up. So I would sit sometimes on the bed. But even in that, when I got home, I had to go home with oxygen. And man, I had the tone that you lose in your legs. I basically had to just walk around, man. It was almost like learning how to walk all over again. Then they sent me with a forget what they call it, where you breathe it in and hold it. I forget what they call it, but I had to use I had to use that daily. And that is the main thing. Anybody who has COVID, because for me it was COVID pneumonia. So anybody who has COVID pneumonia, just take it from me. That's the best thing to use. I forget what they call it, but I used it and it helped bring me back. I basically had to walk all over again, man. So
How long did it take you to come back? How long did?
well, once I was out, I was out almost an entire month after I got home.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was, following up with my doctor, and I was just weak. I was just too weak. When you're a corrections officer, if there's a code, you got to be able to run to that code.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to do it right. And then I ran the biggest dorm in the facility, which was a 13 dorm, and you got upper tier, lower tier. You're walking up and down stairs.
Yeah.
And if you're on a poster where you are a responder officer, you got to be able to get to that, to that point. So if it's a code 2 fight going on, you got to get to that point. You got to get there because one of your colleagues could be getting hurt, or
Yeah.
an inmate, in corrections. If there's a code, if an inmate is hitting you, if there's a fight going on, and an inmate is getting hit in the head for 50 seconds until everybody comes in, you dead. So you got to be able to get to that spot. And I knew that I just couldn't do it. And it took me a little bit over a month before I actually went back to work.
Oh, so but during the time that you were in the block, because you worked at the workhouse, so there's people going to work. Were they still letting people go to work during COVID in the workhouse?
Oh yeah. Well yeah. Like if you
That-
if you come in and you take that little, they take if you take your temperature. If your temperature was fine at that time, it was good. But once they started finding out that these inmates are right, they're in here. They've been quarantined and everything. It's us that's making these guys sick. Instead of all the inmates being out, people let them come out groups. It was like 4 groups. They let them out in 4 groups. They'd be out about 45 minutes apiece. After that, they would be in.
The rest of the day? The rest of the day?
Oh yeah, they'd be in the rest of the day. And then, like as far as like the jobs, all the work release stuff, all that stuff was done. And all of these officers were doing all the work as far as like doing the floors. You got your floor crew there. You got the kitchen crew there that goes and cooks and all that. All that stuff was ceasing like for the first 2 months. Basically, it was just bag lunches, pretty much sandwiches, pizza sandwiches, little ham sandwiches, turkey sandwiches. That was basically it for about at least 2 months. Then we started graduating on to like making like little meals in little bowls with little plastic on the top, still on the top. So it went. That was pretty much it for good, man. Now as far as inmates coming in, now if an inmate came in, and they were being processed and they found out that they had COVID, then they had to go to a whole different area. They couldn't even be quarantined with the new men who didn't have COVID. They had to go over to another unit, which was at the time the work release area and the work group for the workers that had their own room. And that was the 900. That was the 900 hall, kind of mixed in with the work release. They was kind of connected together. All that was shut down. and they'll put them in cells. Most of the time, it'd be like 1 or 2 guys come in, and they would be in there, and they would assign one officer strictly to that unit to just they pass them the meals. If a nurse had to come down, the nurse had to be fully gowned, mask on, one-on-one mouth checks done by the officer. He would have to, anytime we have to go in to whenever a nurse had to see your officer, we had to the big what they call AD5. Now while we were at the gym, we keep the regular ones. Anytime we went in, we had to put the big boys on with the shades. We had that would go over our head just to do the mouth checks. Count time, same thing. Anytime you went in there, you had to put that big N95 on. And they would be in there for like 14 days, and then when 14 days were over, they get just to make sure that they were fully clear. Then they would have to go to the custody area and sit there until they would and had to go through another like I think it was like 3 days. If you had COVID, they would put you in there for 3 days, and they'll send you down to the general pop, which was where I was working at. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, did they you mentioned that the amount of people coming in was reduced. You think they were sending more people home opposed to sending them into the county at that time? Like, why did the number start to reduce?
Well, I think that ended up being a big back and forth between the sheriff at the time. Well, I think he might still be the sheriff there, and the superintendent that we had. It was a big back and forth, and I mean, in the sheriff, he would go on YouTube because he has a show that he does on YouTube once a week. It would be every Friday, and he definitely was concerned about that because people was thinking we were scared we was going to lose our jobs, and he just didn't understand. Hey, I got all these guys here at the LEC, and how come they would at the jail? How come you guys are not letting us bring these guys in? So that ended up being a thing that went over the top of our heads to where we really didn't know what was going on, but he definitely voiced his concerns and how he felt about it because he just didn't understand how. I mean, bro, it was one time, man, where I have a dorm where you normally have 126. I mean 120, and then you go from that to COVID hits, you're down to 60. Then I was in there, man, with 24 guys at one time, and you got 2 officers in there. So then what they started doing, they would if you had 2 officers in there, they would ship one down and put you and give you a utility post, which means now you got one guy sitting in a little office behind the main post, and he's just kind of sitting there just in case you need him, because they didn't want 2 officers sitting in there. They was only assigning 1 officer to the dorm because the numbers just kept going lower and lower. And yeah, it was a big scare there for a minute, man. It really was, man. A lot of people started looking for other jobs, and you got guys that've been doing it for years. They were actually more safe because these guys done been there 26, 30 years, 35 years as officers there. They got all this time built up so they can afford to take it. But the new guys like myself, I was there 3 years as the newest guy. So I was the lowest, I was the lower the totem pole for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, all of us was, from being there 3.5 years on up to guys who have been there like 6, 7 years. Yeah. It was crazy, man. Sometimes some people actually got sent home sometimes.
Was Fletcher the sheriff at the time?
Yeah.
Fletcher, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy that because like I said, I interviewed somebody who was in the federal penitentiary, and he just talked about them stacking them on top of each other. He's like, he went from a 2-man cell maybe to a 4-man cell, a 1-man cell to a 3-man cell.
Wow.
Yeah, he said they had them locked down. They was doing straight lockdown. they only came out to get their trays.
Wow.
Yeah, he said it was just crazy. And then some guys who was in dormitory living,
Mm-hmm.
where they had the bathroom outside the cells,
Mm-hmm.
COs would have to come and open up the cells for them. But the COs they were supposed to come every like 30 minutes. They would come like every hour. So you got guys using the bathroom on themselves,
Right.
all types of stuff. So it was my whole deal is just how it affected, like overnight, things just changed so much and they didn't know what to do. So,
Right.
at the end of the day, when I set up in the cell, I always think about, they really don't care at the end of the day. They give us a couple of meals and maybe make sure we got a place to lay our heads. But besides that, maybe make a pill run or two. That's
Right.
it. You locked down. You can't get out. Hopefully you got a
Right.
TV. Hope you got a TV in your cell. But these
Right.
guys in the county jail, they ain't got nothing. They sitting there all day just sitting there.
Yeah. Now, as far as the general population where I was working at, like I say, that was the actual biggest dorm in the facility itself. 2 officers running it. According to how the numbers were. If the numbers were a little up, you have 2 guys. Numbers were like in the 30s. They probably have 2 guys there, but when they get down like in the 20s, it was only 1 officer. And sometimes what happened was when they would do med call, they would have to go. Normally, they let the guys out. They stand in line one by one. Officer do the mouth checks. But when that COVID hit, it was basically door to door, cell to cell. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was definitely
And they got nothing.
and to be truthful, up until I left, man, the numbers kind of creeped up a little bit, but we were starting to get more people in. But it still to this day has not been the same since COVID. Yeah.
What you think they haven't hit the 120s? They still like what, 65, 70?
I think they're probably like in the 65s. But the thing is, like I say again, it's been a big battle between Sheriff Fletcher and the superintendent at the time. There was a lot of back and forth going on between those two. I mean, Fletcher, he don't care. Like he's very vocal, and he was calling his name out, calling the superintendent's name out, and it's just that once it get there, man, as for us, we don't know what's going on because it's over our head at that point,
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
Yeah. So now you in a new facility. Are you still following some type of protocol for COVID, or is it just super laxed? I mean, what's the deal now?
Oh no, now the facility that I work at now is everyday regular, just like you see me now. That's basically the way you go in. If you're sick, they send you home. You get a doctor's note. That's pretty much it, man. I mean, it's almost back to normal now. At the new facility that I'm working at. But as far as because of course I still keep in contact with a lot of the officers that I used to work with. And I guess they have a little bit of touch of it, but it's everything now is back to regular.
But that's crazy when the numbers of COVID's going up. You would think that they would still be kind of cautious because in facilities like that, it's almost like a closed facility. Once you get it, it's gonna spread. So I would think they would still be quarantining, making sure that population don't get it. Because if one gets it, all of them gonna get it. So even the CO. So to me, I don't understand why the lax. Like at a certain time it was serious. Now it's not serious anymore.
And I agree with you. And it goes back like what my father used to say: people do what people want to do. When you start getting at those levels, man, those big higher levels, people can do what they want to do. They'll say, "Oh, and then like a lot of times you get some of these facilities, man, and some of these, kind of they make rules within rules. You see what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, man, I would tell anybody, if you're an officer or even if you're an inmate, look at a policy book, man. Look at the best way to protect yourself, man, is read, know, and understand policy. That's my best advice to anybody.
Yeah, I find it a lot of times they try to keep the policy away from you just because they know if you know the policy, then you got them,
because a lot of them don't.
Because they're gonna realize that once you read it, you're gonna realize that they are making rules within rules. So that's why I tell everybody, know that policy book. Know that policy book. Um, that inmate handbook, all that stuff, man. That's the best advice I can give anybody.
Okay. So like I said, with the change in, like I would just think like during that time when you were there, just the experience, it would be like, did you ever think about looking for another job because of the situation of dealing with that COVID? Did it make you want to rethink your career and being in a people's business, dealing with people on a regular basis? Did that ever make you reassess that career choice?
It never made me want to like look for another job or anything like that, but it did make me really think about maybe like going back to school, getting a little bit more education, because it just made you realize that like people can do people in those kind of positions can do pretty much what they want to do and they're protected because it's a system to where you know you watch my back, I'm gonna watch your back. We've been working together for 30 years, 20 years, and they're gonna have each other's back. And you can lose your job, man, and because of rules within the rules, so to speak. And that's when it really made me sit back at my age and just kind of reevaluate myself and get back in school to put myself in a better position to where, hey, man, like if I lose my job, I really got to be thinking about like how I'm gonna live because I don't have all these degrees behind my back like some people may have. So for me, that's more so what it did for me. It really because I was like, man, I could lose my job right now, or I could
Yep.
get laid off, and it's like they give you a severance pay or whatever they call it, and you on your way. Now you out here like from scratch trying to figure out how to feed your family.
But what
You know,
aren't they union? Aren't you guys union?
yeah, I mean you got the union, you have the union, but again, like I say, you have the union, but again, what I've learned is even in the union, people do what people do. Okay, and as far as like the union and what they call them your reps or whatever. It's supposed to yes they from what I've learned is they are all in that thing together. You know what I'm saying? You may sit there and you may represent me, but you're in the loop with everybody else, and I can't really trust in this guy to really um, tell him how I really feel, or because I don't feel like he's gonna really represent me because he's still drinking the Kool-Aid with the higher up. So are you gonna really represent me the way you really should? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it goes back to what I was saying, man. People do what people want to do when it comes to that work.
Well,
And I'm talking about all the way to the ladder.
I'm curious too because you explained that cats locked down on basically 24/24. Um, did you have any disciplinary issues where you had to pull a person out of the cell, or some people going stir crazy, taking people to SIG? I mean, did you have any incidents like that during the time?
No, not really. You know what, man? Honestly, I think COVID had so many people scared at that time because people were dying, and inmates watch TV and news just like everybody else. So they were scared, we were scared, and I think that's honestly at that point in time, man. I think everybody, when it comes to the county, was we didn't really have many of those type of issues when it came to the county, pulling people out, here, only time we would have an issue like that, man, is if an inmate uh put a kite in and they felt like the powers that be wasn't really getting back to them in the amount of time, and they would act up a little bit, kick on their doors, do that the normal stuff that as an officer you get used to seeing, and you have to pull them out. They try to flood their cell, so we got to go in and get them and put them in put them in a hole. They call it the hole or
Mm.
security. So But basically, for the most part, man, no, man, I think everybody was just scared because it was the unknown. It
Yeah.
was fresh, people dying, people hearing, people, everybody, whether you were an inmate or whether you were a officer, you know people that are dying in
Mhm.
your friends and cousins and classmates. So, you got inmates like, hey, Lattimore, man, like, and my little brother, man, he in there, man. They don't know if he gonna make it, you know. So that was pretty much the way the life was behind that, man. It was the unknown, you
Did you
know.
did you have any after, because you said you got the vaccination, did you have
Hmm.
any, and then but you also caught COVID kind of bad. Did you
Yeah.
have any do you have any lingering side effects or any complications from that, having a virus or the vaccination that you could recall you going through right now?
No, as for me, man, through the grace of God, man, I think the prayers of all the true saints of God that was in my life who loved me. I think I was blessed. But I will say, man, the recovery, the recovery, man, was really tough to deal with, man. I mean, it was bad, man. Like I couldn't when I got out, when I got out, man, I left with oxygen. I had oxygen, and basically it was like I had to basically almost learn how to walk all over again, or just
Mm,
or at least walk. It was like I was walking, but I wasn't walking. I was so weak, so weak. I mean, I would get that. At the time I stayed in an apartment where I was on the third floor, and in Minnesota, because of the cold weather, you have the heated garages, and
yeah,
so I would have to go down to the basement floor. By the time I get to my car, man, it's like I ran a mile,
yeah,
you know. So man, the recovery, I was out of work probably about a little over a month after I had gotten home because I was just too weak. And and like I was saying yesterday, in corrections, man, you got to do your job, man. If it's a cold or if an inmate gets sick or an inmate's dying, or I mean, if an inmate fight or anything happens, you got to be able to get to that spot. And I just couldn't do it, man. And I was out for about a little over a month. And then when I got back, thank God they put me at a pretty much laid back post where I could gradually, work my way back into it. So they was good at, in that aspect, you know, as letting me kind of work my way back into it. But man, it was when I caught the Delta variant, man, that was a rough one, man. And it's sad because I infected like 8 other officers
mm.
when that happened, so
Yeah, I know somebody who got was actually paralyzed from it. He got COVID and couldn't walk, had to teach himself to walk, and still can't really walk. He's disabled because of it. So I mean, yeah, you were definitely fortunate to come cut. I would feel like he would still maybe have asthma or have some type of respiratory issue.
man, I came back full throttle, but when you have a doctor look at you, but again, like I said, my brother's a practitioner. When my brother's already telling me this stuff, but then you hear the doctor come in and she's like, "Sir, you don't realize how sick you are. You got a guy 1 year younger than you died this morning with the same thing, and I had the COVID pneumonia,
Mm,
you know, and you need to make the nasal can you need to make the nasal. And I mean, I don't know if anybody ever got that sick when they had COVID, but I had to put that nasal cannula on to rub on your nose. You breathing in hot air. You got to lay on your stomach. They sent the respiratory team in on me. The second time, I'm looking at the guy like, man, please, I can barely breathe. And he was like, listen, cover those doors, cover those doors, those cracks in the doors. We got to give this man something. And they gave me a nail. And it's funny because like the one thing that actually helped me more than anything, people probably wouldn't believe it, people coil throat lungers.
mm.
That's what helped me. But it helped me more than anything. And yeah, man, I'm just thankful to God, man, that I never had. And I do have a lot of friends. I had 2 friends that died. I had one friend that had COVID the exact same time. I was in Minnesota. He was in Florida. Had the same exact thing. God, God took him home, but God kept me here.
Mm,
He was a big dude. He was an offensive lineman in high school. Big boy. Down here in the South, we like to eat. Eat them hog maws. So
mm,
because he was a big guy, God he took him out, man. So I'm just thankful to still be here. I'm here for a purpose, man. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have to look at the whole situation, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate this. I appreciate this conversation. Like I said, it's like with me, I'm just trying to get it out because a lot of people are still running around here talking about how you shouldn't get the vaccination or talking about how it's just a joke. You know, my brother Joe, they done had COVID like 4 times. They
Right.
just recently had it like this
Right.
last year, late last year. The whole family done had it. So
Right. Thankful,
I
thankful for me, man. I only caught it that one time, and I haven't had it since, man. So I'm thankful for that.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm thinking, yeah. So I'm conclude this right now. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I apologize for my your time is valuable. It's my time, and I apologize for my untimeliness. But we got to take it care of.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all good. And when you come up here, make sure you check me out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, you already know. You already know, man.
When you got any plans coming up here anytime soon?
Oh, man, probably within the next few months, man. I mean, man, look, man, corrections is what you make it. So anybody who's trying to be a correction officer on here, that hear this, man, uh, it's all about, man. It's all about the team, man. Like I've met a lot of, like in the corrections, I met a lot of horrible people, but I also met a lot of good people. And man, I'm gonna tell you something. When you have an inmate that has a shank, and you have to go into a cell to cell extract that guy, and the lieutenant look at you and say, "Hey guys, we all go home. This is the real deal. This is not a drill. This guy has a shank. We're going home." When you go through something like that with somebody, with guys, they become family to you. You know, they become more than a friend. They become your family. So all of my friends are up there. I made some really good friends up there. So Minnesota is going to be a place that I continuously for the rest of my life until God called me home. I will be visiting people up there, man, because a lot of good people up there in Minnesota, man. The culture is just totally different than what I come from. You know what I'm saying? And it
Mhm.
was actually a good experience for me, man, to come up there because Minnesota is just a big melting pot. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it kind of helped me, help diverse me. So I most definitely will be back to visit you and to visit a whole lot of other friends that I made up there. Now people in the Midwest, if y'all don't understand me, I'm from the South, so I speak I speak differently than what y'all are used to in the Midwest. So I hope y'all understand what I'm saying.
I was gonna say something. I was gonna say uh that that you had it a little bit different than a lot of people because you got people on both sides of the wall. Now you got people locked up, but you haven't been locked up, but you was a
Right.
CO. So I think your understanding and demeanor to things is a lot different than most COs. That's why you come off a lot more. They accept you a lot more because you
Well,
understand it.
the thing is this right here is, hey, I'm a black man. And when you go into these places, when you look behind these men, majority of them are black men. Okay. And we all come from the hood. All hoods are the same. They just in different locations. I'm an officer, and the one thing I'm just not gonna do, man, is just treat anybody like crap. Now, when you come in a new officer and you got these veteran officers, they didn't understand when I would say, you have a good day, sir. How you doing, sir? She's gonna do a mouth check. I'm gonna have you open your mouth, sir. I'm gonna check. Okay, can you lift your tongue up? Okay, thank you, sir. They didn't understand that. But that
Mhm.
man, you know what? That man, he may have committed a crime or whatever, but you know what? What you got to realize, those of you who are trying to be COs, you got to understand that the judge has already punished these men.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of these female CEOs, they come in, oh, I'm a female, I got to really show them that I can, no, listen, be yourself. Because these guys, they from the streets, yeah, but they can read you a lot. They're not dumb guys. If you don't go in there trying to be like Mr. Johnny Badass, I can beat everybody up. Just be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just listen to these guys. See, a lot of times you just gotta listen to these dudes. These guys are these guys are locked up, but these guys got wives, kids. You know,
Yes.
uh, I used to hear guys on the phone crying with their wife because their wife they done got kicked out. They got a brand new baby. See, so you got to put yourself. What if that was me in there? How would I want to be treated? So a lot of times, man, it's the way you talk to them. All this switch in or else, all that
Yes.
police and all of this stuff. Stop.
Yes.
that. If that's what you're trying to come into corrections and try to do, then just don't come at all. We don't need you in corrections. You know what I'm saying? When I was hired on, they told me, 'cause before that, prior, I worked with the kids in the
Yes,
JDC.
sir.
They liked the way that I interacted with the kids, and they said they wanted me to bring that same thing to the adult corrections. So the way I look at it, man, I've had those guys call me up. I don't know who they are, some of them, because when you in corrections, you see so many different inmates, especially in the county, they in and out, in and out. But they call me up, they say, "Hey, lad, listen, man, my wife took me back. I got me a job, you know, I got me a good job." See, that's what we really should be doing here in corrections.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
And I just, it's anybody that listens to this right here who's trying to become a CO, do not come into this thing with that kind of mentality. And a lot of times it's those young guys. Those young guys coming in, they're young, and I want to get in there. And listen, I got to get my respect. Just be who you are. Talk to these guys. Listen to them. You know what I'm saying? And it'll take you a long ways, man. And that's just my advice to anybody who's trying to become a CO, man.
I
It ain't about
appreciate that.
all that gung ho, holding your chest. It ain't about that.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I sat on the other side and I seen it. You know, it was some good, it was some bad. I personally believe there's no such thing as a good CO or a police officer, but that's just
Mhm.
speaking on the uniform. It's not speaking on the individual because I know you
Right.
as an individual. I don't know you as a CO. I know
Right.
you I know you as my brother. So
Right.
it's to me, it's I understand it. We talk about it all the time. Talk about it with your brother.
Right.
How the system is set up, and
Yeah.
and it's great to have individuals like yourself because I appreciate coming in, seeing somebody like you on the opposite side that I could talk to.
Hmm.
When you understand me, and it makes at the end of the day, what you say make the whole block safe. It make everybody safe. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
And they don't understand that. It's that dude who got that gun hold, Derek Chauvin. I'm gonna show him behavior that's gonna make everybody. It's gonna set the block off, and everybody's gonna be in danger. So,
Right. And
what?
see, the thing is, real quick, not to cut you off, but the thing is with that right there, man, you gotta you when you a CEO, man, communication,
Okay,
man.
yeah, yeah,
Always put yourself in the mix. What if it was me in here? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you another thing. Not all bad guys in prison are bad guys. You got some people out there, where you got men out there, you can be in a bad relationship, but somebody done played on their heart, and they just at the last minute, in the minute of emotion, now they locked up. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, just you got to get out that gung ho stuff because I'm telling you right now, man. Because I'm gonna tell you what's going on right now in corrections. You get out here, you start hitting, punching, these inmates with their hands behind their back. Yeah, they got a place for you. And as for me, I never try to treat anybody like that right there. I always try to talk to them like a man. And any inmate that I had, even the ones I had to go hands on with, you know what they'll do, man? They'll call me to the cell. Hey, Lattimore, they want you to come down. Go down to the hole. What's up, man? Hey, man, Lattimore, man, I'm sorry, man. I respect you. It's just, man, I found out that my best friend was messing around with my wife as I've been up in here, and then you came in and you said, hey, man, we need you guys to switch in. I just lost, you know what I'm saying? So, um, at the end of the day, man, I can run to anybody in Minnesota, any inmate that I've dealt with, and I'm good. But not every officer can say that.
yes, sir. That's important.
Some of them are dirty. It's just fact. You know what I'm saying? And like I say to anybody again, if you're listening to this and you're a young person and you're trying to become a CEO, it is a good career. But please do not go up in there trying to put your hands on these people, trying to be gung ho, doing all that. It's just not something we don't need you in corrections.
That's it. Enough said. Enough said. I mean, that's truly spoken. It makes sense both sides, and everybody want to go home at the end of the day, even the person in the cell at the end of the day. So that's what we're trying to do. I appreciate